So right off the bat, I've never played any of the Dragon Quest games, so I'm not approaching this thing from the perspective of a superfan. Basically, the only three things I really knew about the franchise at all going into this movie were A, this is Square Enix's other huge decade-spanning RPG franchise aside from Final Fantasy, B, the character designs are all done by Dragon Ball author Akira Toriyama, and C, slime. So I didn't really know what to expect from this movie, nor did I really have any intention to review it, or even to watch it if I'm being honest, but I got caught off guard earlier when I realized that the new Pixar movie is coming out next week, not this week, and this movie's trailer on Netflix looked pretty neat, so here we are. And I've got to say that this is probably one of, if not my favorite, video game movie that's ever been made. It's a great tribute to the 16-bit era of JRPGs, and Dragon Quest specifically, even despite not ever having played it before. If you've ever played any other JRPG or sword and sorcery type game that came out around this time, you'll be able to pretty easily wrap your head around it, even if you're missing out on some of the finer details. You've got your chosen hero with the special glowy eyes, your magic sword, your magic healing potions, an evil wizard who wants to summon a dark god, a character who needs a magic orb to turn into a dragon, time travel, it's all here, and it's all very familiar territory. The animation is very good. Perhaps not quite Pixar good, or maybe even DreamWorks for that matter, but it's all suitably bright and colorful, and the character designs are all stylistic, quirky, and full of expression. There's obviously been a lot of effort put into this movie, and it shows. I really love the visuals. This is easily the best looking, fully CGI animated film I've ever seen come out of Japan, which is known predominantly for its 2D animation for a very good reason. At perhaps the slight risk of beating a dead horse, I think that this Dragon Quest movie is basically a perfect case study for why I keep saying that the Sonic the Hedgehog movie that came out a few weeks ago should have been animated rather than live action. And yeah, I know a lot of you guys liked that movie a lot more than I did, and that's totally your prerogative, but come on, even you've got to admit that this animation affords so much more room to bring the characters and the world of this very cartoony looking video game to life on the silver screen without having to water it down, change it beyond recognition, or leave almost everything out. I mean, just look at this. Look at the character designs. Look at the style. You would never, ever in a million years have been able to make this thing work as well as it does if you had attempted to translate it into live action. This movie is really going for broke with its concept. It's doing its absolute darndest to shove what I'm assuming is the 30 to 40 hour long epic fantasy adventure of Dragon Quest V into an hour and 45 minutes, while still retaining most of the major story beats. It doesn't exactly work 100% of the time, of course, most notably multiple points where large swaths of the less important plot details are glossed over in montage form, you know, things like going through various dungeons to collect treasure, defeating enemy monsters to power up, etc., as well as a character introduction or three that have clearly been rushed through, but hey, like I said, this is a one-to-one adaptation of a JRPG, and those things had very long stories. Besides, because of the very well-worn nature of the subject matter and the fact that the movie is animated, its story kind of reminds me of like a classic fairy tale or ancient legend where the various plot twists and turns don't necessarily have to conform to modern writing sensibilities in order to feel right. You just kind of go with it, or at least I did. The first couple minutes of the movie are actually made up of literal cutscenes taken from, again, what I assume to be the hour or so long prologue / tutorial section from the original 16-bit Super Nintendo game. I imagine this was meant to play double duty as a bit of nostalgia for those who've played the game, as well as an attempt to try and give the main story some much-needed context if you haven't, but it was moving by way too quickly for me to really retain anything from it, not to mention the fact that I don't think I would have even needed it to follow the story. Like I said, most of the major plot points here are familiar tropes. Notice, however, I said most, not all. One final thing that I've debated whether or not to even mention in this video is that the ending of this movie is absolutely bonkers. It honestly kind of sealed the deal for me in terms of moving from just liking it in a general sense to liking it a whole lot. It comes completely out of nowhere, and I wasn't expecting it at all, nor do I think any fans of the game will either, unless I'm very, very much mistaken. This movie was just a pleasant surprise all around, and it kind of makes me want to play the game now. So yeah, I guess that's my recommendation. Do I think everyone will enjoy this film? Definitely not. But if you're someone who fondly remembers these types of games from your childhood, even if, like me, you never actually played any of the Dragon Quest games, I say give it a watch. I liked it a lot. And if you like this video, you'd be doing me a huge favor if you could hit the like button, subscribe for more in the future, and ring the bell to stay up to date on all of my latest stuff. Leave a comment down below with any of your thoughts on the Dragon Quest movie, and check out some of the other great stuff I've got up here on my channel. As always, thanks so much to all of you guys for watching, and take care.